welcome back to another awesome episode of GSTalks. Today we are joined again by Scott and Sam in our kind of whatever episode. There is actually no clear topic. It's just kind of off the rails and stuff we come up as we go. I know we talk about video games. We talk about drunk stories. We also talk about some just life stuff in general. So stick around. Some pretty interesting stories going on in the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy. Remember to like and subscribe to GSTV Studios. Everything counts and helps us for real. So please do that. And we'll see you in the next podcast in the coming weeks. Hope you enjoy this podcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GS Talks. Hey, how is everyone doing? We got Scott and Sam back for another episode of the Awesome Podcast. That's a different podcast entirely, but I'm just going to say awesome. So how you guys doing today? Doing good, hopefully?
Yes, very good.
Doing good.
Super Mario Land.
Super Mario 3D Land?
Yeah.
You can do worse.
There's Scott's Thoughts. Hey, Scott's Thoughts!
Scott's Thoughts!
Plug it!
Scott's Thoughts is my social media name or secret identity or whatever. I'm Batman.
Where you do
I'm
reviews
Scott's Thoughts.
where you do reviews of TV shows, movies.
TV shows, movies, just anything really. And we have a new show coming out soon.
Called
The Retail Zone.
and your podcast coming out
And
soon.
my podcast, The Scott Spot.
Scott's Thoughts.
Scott brand. Cornering the Scott mark. Scott Spot, Scott Spot.
Okay, that's...
There's nothing else on the dot at Scott Spot.
So today, Sam, I'm sorry, your Instagram, Kick Him Cosplay,
Yes.
is doing good.
Yes.
Please follow her on Instagram if you want awesome cosplay looks and stuff and things like that. So...
Awesome stuff and things like that.
Woot,
Kickum Cosplay has all that. I don't know.
You guys are rowdy today. Jeez.
I'm a jingle machine today.
Anyways, we're kind of winging it today. We have no set topic, but we'll go into stuff as
So you mean
it
we're
comes by.
doing what normally podcasts do?
No.
Because podcasts usually kind of wing it.
Well,
no, they have topics, and then they kind of,
Yeah.
Wing it
mad lib.
amongst the topics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that's,
mad lib.
that's what I'm doing. Now, Doctor Who is doing good.
It's doing great.
Meteor Fist Films, and we didn't say this in the last podcast, but we picked...
One day we'll finish Holmes University
Exactly.
5.
We started filming that again. Not that we ever stopped. Crap.
Way to give it up, Chris. We had to take a break because Justin's arm got injured.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah. But
It happens, and he's good now. He's mostly fully healed, and he's back in his Holmes ways.
we're probably 2 shoot days away from wrapping filming.
Yes. And I'm excited for that. It's going to be a good one. I can't wait. I think this one is going to stand out to be one of the best ones.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. So, video games.
Video games are amazing.
All right.
I know I'm sidestepping here a bit, but video games. I want to know. We'll do top 5 in a minute, but what are some video games you're currently into besides Sea of Thieves that we talked about?
God, I want to talk more about Sea of Thieves.
I know, but you talked about the last podcast. I know you're also playing PUBG a little bit.
PUBG. Yeah, I'm playing PUBG.
Have you
I
played?
like
Have you played Fortnite?
I do. I like Fortnite.
My husband is such a hater on Fortnite. He's so salty about it.
See?
I didn't say
There's
people didn't
haters on
hate it. I
Fortnite.
said Fortnite's
Chris and I got into an intense argument because I texted him yesterday.
About Fortnite or about PUBG?
Well, originally about PUBG. So I was like, I don't get the hate towards PUBG because it's an alpha. It's one of those games that's constantly
Look, all
developing.
right, you know, if you want to...
And we're going to unload this can of worms. But no, anyways, to let me finish my thought.
Go for it.
Real quick, is then Chris gave his response, and it came off though as like he was crapping on PUBG and Fortnite for the win, and I was like, well, honestly, there's hate for both,
Yeah.
but I enjoy PUBG because I like games in alpha because I like to help game developers and all
Right,
that, and
right,
that's
right.
why I paid for
Look,
it.
it's not a bad game. I just don't like unfinished games that released in retail.
I like that though, like 7 Days to Die.
It's one...
I get where you're coming from. I mean,
Sure.
It's one thing if
It
it's-
feels like you're paying them
for a
to
game
help
that will
them.
be complete like what, 3 years from now?
Yeah.
Well, it's like what they did with Ark.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, Subnautica was kind of the same way. They started.
but it's not a retail release is my problem.
Yeah.
It's being sold for almost a full price.
No, it's $30.
Yes, and on Steam it's the same thing. But I could understand it on the Steam because you get early access with those things. That makes sense. But to release it as a full title, even though it's not, on retail stores.
Well, like here, if you don't mind, let me chime in real quick.
Yeah.
Like 7 Days to Die, for instance, is an alpha, and they released it as a full retail release game. And I don't mind that because they are literally gathering data. They're not going to update it regularly
Right.
because they're gathering data, but it's so they can get a sample from their community that's going to most likely play the game.
Why retail it? Why
Because
not do a
you get developers
digital release?
like EA, and you get Call of Duty and Battlefield, which are broken as crap from the beginning, and then it's like, oh, this is terrible, and then they have to quickly fix stuff. Which
Hashtag
causes
judgment.
More, yeah, well, I mean, it's quickly
early judgment.
It's quickly more problems on top of other problems.
Anyways,
that they could be fixing by doing it in alpha.
yes, you can also do that with actually out without retailing the game.
Well, that's what Overwatch does. You know, they are completed, they are done.
Yes.
But they are constantly patching and fixing.
Well, sure, any
and
game
recognizing what's going
Yes,
on.
and it's a great example of Overwatch because they also have a PTR, which stands for practice, test, whatever, where they have a separate, almost game entirely of things that may be coming. They do changes, and that's
Yeah.
what games should do. They should have a full game release and then have like a PTR where they can,
The playtest run.
playtest run. That's exactly.
But there's some games, like for instance 7 Days to Die, that it like Skyrim, for instance, at launch was painfully buggy.
Don't give me Sky.
Skyrim Fallout, painfully buggy at launch. But
that happens.
Due to things
You
like
can't
7
predict
Days to
everything,
Die, they can build and perfect their game. So when they can change a lot more drastically. So when, for
They
instance,
can do that without retelling the game though too.
yes, but
Well, I
at the
mean-
same time, when a lower budgeted developer comes through, you don't have like like for instance, Call of Duty's made for like $300 million. When you have a developer that's making it with like 5 people, it helps them significantly to be able to have that money to help like supplement and hire a programmer or things like that to help fix a lot of their problems.
Yeah, well, I mean, it always goes back to the fact that what you're paying for when it comes to games like that, where they're more the indie style, when you're paying for the alpha version, what you're really paying for is you're paying for the engineers and the programmers' time.
Right.
Yeah.
And whereas with something like the, like the Call of Duties and the
Overwatch.
of the world, what you're paying for with that one is the programmer's time to create new content.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, they both have benefits. With Fortnite, there are definitely things that I'm not as excited about. I'm not as thrilled about, but I appreciate the fact that they are still recognizing, oh, hey, we have to pay for our time. We're not fully funded.
Right. And to kind of go back, because we took a major sidestep to Fortnite and PUBG.
Yeah.
So for those you don't know, Players Underground, whatever it stands for, PUBG.
Player Underground Battlegrounds?
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
That's a lot of grounds in that title.
Yeah.
All of the grounds.
All
Coffee
of the grounds. Coffee grounds.
Oh, Player Unknown Battlegrounds.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I like the coffee grounds better.
Coffee grounds, the game. I forgot where I was going with it. Anyways, it's a battle royale, King of the Hill type of game where the every like so often the circle gets tighter. You have to move to that certain place. You have guns and all that stuff, vehicles. In my opinion, I think Fortnite just does it better.
Well,
It's less
Fortnite is
buggy.
almost a totally different game. I don't like that they're really compared.
It's a battle royale game.
It's a battle royale game, but
the same
but-
concept.
Yeah, but by that we can compare
only-
Overwatch to League of Legends by that comparison, and I think that's an unfair thing. Battlegrounds, Player Unknown, PUBG is a much more tactical, like in the vein of a military sim. Whereas, I mean, yeah, it goes arcadey as hell for a while.
I was like, what?
But that's even what they've talked about. Like, if you actually go down to the military level of it, and like people use tactics and things, you can't just go through there and run and gun like a madman. I mean, I guess you could try.
You can't do that in Fortnite either.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is a different style to a point. If we really wanted to compare all, like, you could associate tons of games with Fortnite, PUBG.
Yeah, I mean, even Overwatch in some of the simulators and some of the games, when
Game
you're
modes, yeah.
arcade,
Yeah.
there's definitely, take over the flag.
And what's
capture the
interesting about
flag.
Fortnite is that and even though that part of the game is free, that's not what the game is, which is
Yeah.
funny in my opinion.
Well, yeah.
The whole game, the core game that you have to pay for is, I think, like a horde type of game. Where you have to
think
battle
so.
hordes and you have to build your fort, which
'cause,
is
like,
why it's called Fortnite.
PUBG also started as a military simulator.
Did it really?
Their idea was that the objective gets tighter and tighter as you have to move in on an area and test your firefight.
Wow.
But it ended up becoming
Well, and I think that's honestly the difference between PUBG and Fortnite is they had completely different origins, and so that really affected the way that they went.
Yeah.
So even though they're kind of similar now, they're not at all similar.
And the idea that to me one sucks and the other doesn't.
Oh, I didn't say that.
So
yeah, no,
so
I'm
you're
just
playing.
saying.
So you're playing Sea of Thieves. You're playing PUBG, Fortnite.
And Monster Hunter World, which is spectacular.
Beautiful game.
Oh, yeah.
I hate the fan base.
I ignore the fan. I actually, I had not really truly played a Monster Hunter until Monster Hunter World, and it was just me and one other friend, and I've been playing it essentially with just one other, like technically two people. And
Well, we have so like I'm one of those people that like I like help guides, I like asking advice. Hey guys, I don't know how to handle this. How would you? And with the fan base, they kind of are like, haha, let's just pile crap on you and let's make fun of you.
A
for
la
not
the
knowing
League of
this.
Legends fan base. pretty
Yeah,
much.
well, and it's unfortunate that that's kind of the way that games are going. I've been replaying all of Kingdom Hearts.
oh, those games are so good.
I got the remastered version for Christmas. My husband got that for me, and as I'm playing it, I'm like, my childhood. But yeah, no, I've been really enjoying that, and then I'm playing something on the DS. What am I playing? Oh, Fire Emblem.
Ooh.
Oh, that game is great.
Well, there's like 7,000.
Well, yeah, but like the 3DS Fire Emblem,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so good.
I'm currently playing Overwatch still. I love it. I took a break because I got really mad at my competitive gameplay.
Okay.
So I took a break. I was like,
They really screwed up the competitive.
yeah. And I hear it's better. And I did my placements. I'm good. I'm good to go. I'm back where I should be. Other than that, I'm playing Battlefront 2, which I really love. They fixed the game. They did a whole revamp to it. So everything that you hated about it is gone.
Good.
For now, they've said that they're bringing it back, though.
No.
A lot of that.
No.
A lot of that's coming
They're
back.
gonna fix it. They said.
Well,
that
yeah, they're gonna
it's
try and
it's
fix
already
it.
fixed and it's gone.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I don't
It's
trust
wiped from the
EA
game.
when they say that they're going to fix
Yeah.
something.
So have you played Brigitte on Overwatch?
Yes, and I love the way she plays.
She's really fun. That's actually the next.
Is it? I know some people say it's Brigitte. Brigitte.
It's
Brigitte.
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 Yeah, I was going to say it's Brigitte based on...
She's like Dutch or Swedish. So, but no, Jay and I are gonna do a couples cosplay, and I'm building for him.
Tor, please.
No, I'm
come
we're
on.
actually building.
Reinhardt?
Building. Yeah, I'm gonna build Crusader Reinhardt for him, and I'm gonna do the
Which
mechanic,
version?
the Crusader one that shows his face.
You can give him a blonde wig.
Yes, I'm super excited. I'm so glad that he's being like such a good sport about
Oh,
it.
I
But
love that.
and then I'm doing Brigitte as the mechanic, so I'm excited. But yeah, I'm building 2 suits of armor.
It's a lot.
I haven't played Overwatch in a while. Like
good.
that's one of those ones I enjoy.
It's a tight game.
Like anytime I play it, I have fun playing it. I have nothing against the game. It's just that there's so many good games out that I
Yeah.
can't help. Like Monster Hunter to me,
Yeah.
the Monster Hunter World.
Whoever thought that in this day and age we would have too many games to play?
Absolutely,
I know.
absolutely.
It's
like
a great
the
time.
thought of that is like 20 years ago that was like unheard of. Almost.
Like to me, I love the appreciation that Monster Hunter World is like a 200-hour game if you want to complete it,
Yeah.
and the fact that there's not really microtransactions. Everything is if you want that, go earn it. Like that's like old school gaming at its heart. I was shocked when I saw like, ooh, that's an armor piece I want. Oh, I have to go do this
right,
like
right.
12 times. and
Yeah,
then
you
it's-
have to
It's
build
RPG,
everything.
JRPG.
Yeah, and I love that. It was such a breath of fresh air.
So those are the games that we like right now. Let's kind of go back in time about 15 years to when the PS1 reigned supreme and the N64 and the Dreamcast and all that stuff. Basically everything up to early 2000s. Via GameCube too, if you want to throw that in there, PS2, Xbox. So for me off the bat, I was a real fan of Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, yeah.
That's a good
I beat that game like so many times I can't remember.
Did you ever win the?
No, I know what you're talking about, but no.
It's my favorite mission.
And pretty soon, top 5 PlayStation 1 games is coming out.
Oh God.
I know. I've said it here, so I gotta bring that out soon. I already have the script ready and good to go. I just need to record. What about you, Scott? Any games that from your childhood?
From that time, I mean, if we're going like PS1 era, Dino Crisis.
Such a good game.
It was so fun and ridiculous. Like the idea that it was essentially Resident Evil with dinosaurs was just
Yep.
so cool.
Yeah. You?
I'm gonna kick it back further and go N64.
It's not really that far.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of from the
64 is
same
actually newer than the PS1 technically.
Oh, I was more of a PS2, and
Oh,
then
really?
before that I had
Okay.
the N64, and then
Gotcha.
before
But
that I had
continue,
the
continue.
Genesis. But no, GoldenEye and Banjo and Kazooie.
Oh yeah, Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Yeah, no, those two games were like my lifeblood. If I could play those games, I was good.
Who did you play as in GoldenEye?
Well, I really liked, because I didn't do very well on the actual like mission games. I would actually do all of the time completion ones. Where you have to shoot as many people as possible.
Yeah.
And so I would pick whatever the one that was in the white suit and he was the blonde hair. I think that's Agent like 009.
I think so, yeah, 009.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
I was Jaws.
You were Jaws.
I was always
Yes.
Jaws.
Yes.
I picked the helicopter pilot.
Oh, there you go.
I'm Fonzie.
There you go.
As long as no one played Odd Job, you're fine.
God, that...
Judgment.
Yeah, I'm judging if you ever played as Odd Job. You had to like. It's so hard to look down in that game. You're like,
God.
N64, man, those are good.
And if
times.
we're going back further than that, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yes.
I prefer Sonic the Hedgehog 3 over 2.
No way.
Sonic-
Sorry,
Sonic
the
2.
complete game: Sonic Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I had all of those, and then I also had Aladdin for
the Genesis?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, anyone remember the Genesis Toy Story game?
Yes.
It
Oh my
was
gosh. It's so
Sorry.
terrible.
hard.
So terrible.
Sorry, I was a Nintendo guy back then. I didn't have a Genesis, so I had Aladdin and Toy Story on the Super Nintendo.
Oh, but they were so much easier to play on the Nintendo.
And the greatest Sega Genesis of all time.
Hey.
Sega Genesis game, Jurassic Park, the side-scroller Rampage Edition, where you could play as the Velociraptor in a side-scroller and eat people.
He's super happy about that game. If you can't
The
tell,
game is so great.
it has the worst soundtrack ever.
That's actually the soundtrack,
That's the
too.
soundtrack to the game.
You'd think
That's
I'm
amazing.
kidding.
Word for word.
That's amazing.
But you could like run around and like there were like guards from Jurassic
I'm gonna go
Park
find this
and
on
you'd eat
YouTube
them.
now.
Look up gameplay footage of stage 1 and it'll change your life because
Okay.
you just run around and like grab people and eat them. It's great.
Yes.
It's so great. You're just running around as the raptor. It's so
Anyways,
amazing.
moving on from that, let's I'm gonna do top 5 because I think that's too much to put. But let's do top 3 favorite childhood games, and I know we just kind of named them. You being,
I was gonna say we just named them, didn't we?
but like I want to see what your top is.
Oh, yeah.
The top childhood game would have to be Kingdom Hearts 2. Oh no, Kingdom Hearts 1. Oh, that's so
Oh,
tough.
wait, how far are we going back for childhood?
Mid 2000s.
I mean, this
Ooh,
was during
that's a wide That's like 12 years, man.
yeah, this was like tsunami time, so
Yeah.
you'd have to divide your time between like watching your Toonami and playing your video games. But yeah, no, definitely Kingdom Hearts. And then under that would probably be, I would say, the Aladdin for the Sega Genesis, and then below that would be Banjo and Kazooie.
Fair enough, Scott.
I was gonna say we got Jack 2 on the PS.
Oh,
Jack
yes!
2. Good pick, Scott.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then for me, Halo Combat Evolved.
Oh yeah, I always forget about Halo. They're
Mm-hmm.
right there next to you too.
Yeah. But no, Jack 2 was
Jack
so
2 was amazing.
awesome.
All right, for me, if I could go from bottom to top, Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube, amazing game. This is gonna sound funny, even though I love Final Fantasy VII, it doesn't have a spot on this list,
Okay.
which is funny
okay.
enough. My childhood game that I played like relentlessly for number 2 is the Spider-Man game for the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
Yes, was amazing. And then on top of that, Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island,
Okay. Yep.
my all-time favorite game.
It's really interesting because if you look at the games that were really popular in our childhood, they were both terrible and wonderful, and they would never be popular now.
No,
No.
it's just the day and age we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's because we lived in the world of things were actually developing in the game world, so
Yeah.
we had appreciation for, like, you can finally look down with ease and things like that, where it's like, nowadays it's like, oh, what, you mean it doesn't have photorealistic everything? And it's like, I don't know, today's day and age games have changed so much, but we were in the era that games were, like, learning
it's
how
cool
to
that
do
we
things.
share. We have like that bridge of like what games were kind of the beginning stages of games and where they are now.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
we enjoyed games for better or for worse, basically, until they got into the photorealism.
Well, it's
age.
like, remember it was exciting in Half-Life 1
I never
when
played
you
Half-Life,
could
but-
break walls with a crowbar.
Well, I think the other part of it is that like the other part of the games that were popular because it was so national, like it was so based in the U.S. A lot of it was like the Aladdin games and the Toy Story games and stuff
back when
like that.
licensing games were good.
Yeah, exactly, because they had to develop them here because they couldn't really do what they needed to do
Well, yeah.
technology-wise to translate them. So yeah, no, it's very interesting to see what would be popular.
Oh, by the way, I know we're all leaving out like amazing games like Legend of Zelda, Earthbound,
Yes.
and all that stuff.
Yes.
Final Fantasy,
Shout out to Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot,
Yes.
absolutely. It's just like there's a gap between the best games of our childhood and the games we played the most.
The nostalgia, the games that you went over to friends' house to play, and
Dude, me and you back in the day, we used to play like I used to bring my TV over to his house.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
we do System Link. And,
Yes.
And like we
LAN
had our
parties.
TVs. And sometimes because I had 2 TVs, we'd bring over another friend and we'd do 3 TVs. We'd do multiplayer where we all have a TV. Oh, it was so great.
I miss those days so much.
I do too.
We need to start doing that again somehow.
We need to do it. It needs to happen. It'd be so fun. I love LAN parties.
See, I have friends on, now with the PS, whatever I have.
The Vita?
No, the one on the. Anyways,
PS4.
yeah, sure. I couldn't remember if it was the 3 or the 4, and I was like blanking out there for a second.
Don't you own a PS4?
Yes. Don't judge me.
Okay.
But because we were just talking about the PS2 and the 1, and I was like, what do I have now? What technology is in my life? But no, I have friends that I'll hook up my headphones to, and I'll have a conversation with them, and like I'm building relationships with people that are
It's
halfway across the
amazing,
world.
and I wanted to bring this up when we were talking about like kind of toxic communities. There are amazing people still in the communities of your games.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to go find them though. That's the thing. Like Facebook, I'm part of the Xbox One Overwatch community, where it's amazing, and I play with those people almost like every day.
Absolutely.
And you can do that with any game. You can do it with Monster Hunter. You can do it with Final Fantasy. You can do it with.
Oh yeah, I found great friends to play with on Monster Hunter. Which also, I do want to say one thing, and I have to. Never thought I'd say this. Backtrack on some of my thoughts, because back in the day, like a year ago, I was talking major crap about the PS4.
You were.
I still talk crap about the PS4 because it has a lot of problems. But I have to say though, the PS4 has really starting to shape up. So is the Xbox One, but the PS4, when it launched, because I've had it since launch,
Yeah.
I hated it. I was like, this
Yeah.
is a terrible system. It's a genuinely bad system. And then as it's progressed, I have to eat my words and say it's actually
It's
improved
decent.
into
Yeah,
a
it's
good system. I
Well,
like
it's-
my PS4 now.
I definitely think that Sony took a lot of the criticism and actually did something productive with it.
Exactly, which they normally don't.
Well, I think that's the difference
Well, that's
between
Sony, and then they're a Eastern company, and they do things differently than Microsoft.
It's like we'll get to
does.
Nintendo on another day.
Yeah, I love Nintendo.
I
Um,
love Nintendo too, but it doesn't mean that the company doesn't suck.
You know what's funny is that when we were growing up, mostly until like the early 2000s, Xbox One was the thing. So there was only Sega, Nintendo, and Sony.
Yep.
And now Sega's out of the ballpark, unfortunately. I'm hoping one day they come back.
Which also I want to say, when we come back, because I'm assuming you were
Yeah,
queuing us
yeah.
for the break. When we get back from the break, I have a question for you all that is going to be a very interesting topic, I
Dun
think.
dun dun.
It's going to pose some thoughts, some questions. Maybe some alliances are made, some are not.
Wow, you're
Some are destroyed.
really good at this. We'll be right back after this. Don't go anywhere because you can't.
Bye.
Welcome back to GSTalks, everybody. We're just hanging out here in the studio. This is our winging it episode where we don't have anything planned and we're just kind of talk about what we'd like to talk about.
We always do one after like the main
We
episode.
do. I like to record these in advance.
It's because we have so much fun.
We do. So when we left off last, Scott was all dramatic and stuff. Before we get to that, Scott Sam is here with us. Scott's Thoughts, Meet the Fist Films, Kick Him Cosplay, and all the good stuff. Be sure you like and subscribe to GSTV Studios. Scott.
All right, your big question.
What is it?
Could you see a major company taking over? Because I've heard rumblings. Now, what are your thoughts about an Amazon console? An Amazon gaming console entering the fray of the major console race?
Nope.
I would say that it doesn't make sense right now for Amazon. I think that they would have to, like...
Because Amazon's developing, like, airplanes and all of that.
Right, they're really diversified, and the Prime Stick is doing fairly well.
But we
I'm
keep
sorry.
saying, like, I don't know if it'll work for Amazon.
I forgot to plug the band, Scott's very close band, the Whirlybirds.
The Whirlybirds.
And the song of this too is Only a Dreamer, and they're related to you, or one of them.
Stepbrother.
Stepbrother is related.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's like, how would you describe the genre?
They're like I don't know how to describe
It's like, it's not folk.
It's not folk. It's like a weird.
It's not alternative rock
Wolf
either.
Mother kind of.
It's like a mix and mash of like genres. You can
Yeah.
check them out. They're on YouTube. Whirlybirds. Sorry, go back to where you're going. Amazon
But
console.
Amazon has taken over everything, even when we're skeptical. Like when Prime Video was a thing, it was like, well, it's going to get killed by Netflix. And but like the gaming console network, like, hey, we all were skeptical when Microsoft said they were going to make the Xbox.
It's true. But Scott, I want to bring this up to you. Remember years ago we did a skit. There was news of a Google making their own console, and they never did.
Yes.
So it could be just rumblings.
But I'm saying that if
Well,
there's
but no,
anything that will.
Instead, they went and made a laptop.
Yeah.
That's the thing that they did. They took the gaming thing.
Right.
They realized that they couldn't test
Right.
into it.
And
well.
that's what I'm kind of thinking too.
But I have to remind you, Amazon already just opened up their gaming development network. They're already building video games.
I don't think it will go as big as.
But
the
they
three
bring
Titans right
in
now.
other systems, of course.
course.
But I'm just saying, like, we were skeptical when Xbox or other networks
Yeah.
were doing that. Like, I'm just saying that Amazon is the biggest company.
If they
ever.
do it, all the props. I need to buy another game console. Apparently,
But if Amazon released a console, would you buy it? Like if it was a major console release, like a PlayStation, Xbox, Sony, would you? Give
I would
it a
have to
shot?
research it. That's it. I would just have to research it.
But if the specs and everything were up to par with the next gen stuff,
hey,
would you?
I'm happy with my Xbox. I have no need for another major console.
I'd buy it.
I think I would probably lean more towards buying, but I think that they would go into the VR kind of stuff.
I hope so.
Yeah, and it definitely seems like VR.
Even though
actually
VR is
gearing
big right
up.
now, it's still like years away from being perfect.
Absolutely, but
Have you
I
gone to
think
the VR bar?
Yes, I have.
Oh, it's so good.
It's fun.
the thing that I keep seeing with the VR systems is the amount of energy and processing that it takes. So if Amazon was to build a console that could handle it, it would be the best gaming console to come out.
And I have to. I mean, it's one of those things. Amazon this year alone has already announced that they plan to hire 10,000 more people. They've opened up their gaming development division.
Hey,
They've
well,
opened up
more jobs
They're
is always
building
good,
more
but
buildings.
How many of those
every
jobs are
day.
going to be held is the question. But that's
But
another topic. For
I'm just saying that like Amazon, they are ramping up as though they are going to build something. And I'm just going to say it. If Amazon decides to conquer everything, gaming eventually has to do it.
Well, especially in the technology industry, I think that they're going to have pretty stiff competition, especially when you have Microsoft and the PS and PCs having definitely a knock, that niche of like the MMOs and stuff. They would have to find a very specific audience.
Competition makes everyone great.
Better. Absolutely.
And there hasn't been competition because everything has been shared.
Absolutely.
Virtually. And I miss those days of competition where it was like, back when Sega and Nintendo rivaled and PlayStation with Sega as well. And they were, throwing out, home runs every so often to, up a better console.
And Amazon's always said their motto is to work every day like you are on the red line, like you're about to go out of business.
And that's great.
So
And
they
so
would
if
be
they-
fighting tooth and nail.
If they bring a console, I'm happy. I probably still won't get it because I'm perfectly happy with my Xbox. I'll stick with Xbox.
I mean, this is all speculatory, but I'm just saying that if they did, I think they would honestly take over.
I don't know. I don't think that they have the capability to take over yet. I
Because
think that,
Microsoft and Sony won't lie down and just be like,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're
Well,
defeated."
no, but
well,
I
yeah,
think
no, I definitely think it would. We're looking out at least 5 years.
Yeah.
I think it would also cause the greatest gaming boom we've seen
Absolutely.
since the PS1.
I sure hope so.
Because
Fingers crossed.
everyone would have to be competitive, and I think Amazon would hit their biggest market in augmented reality.
Well, hey, only-
because somebody needs, because VR is a thing. VR is already
yeah,
a
but
thing.
I think augmented reality is at least another like 20 years off.
Yeah,
from
but
being
they've already
good.
started it.
I know
I'm just
they started
saying
it,
that
but-
that it's one of those things. I'm not saying
It won't
this is
even-
like
it
tomorrow.
won't even matter, guys. It won't even matter because Skynet is going to take over.
Yeah. But I just think that if someone has not. I mean, Microsoft's talked about augmented reality. Like, Microsoft's talked about it, but no one's actually done true augmented reality. And I think if Amazon
Because
did it,
I think people would rather have virtual reality than augmented reality.
Well, and
Yes
and
and
I don't,
no.
I don't think that. So the processing that it takes. So you guys have both done the VR. When you take the VR system off,
I feel-
how tripped out are
I feel
you?
dizzy.
oh, it's weird.
So if we were to do augmented reality games, it would do the same thing. We're not. I think our kids are going to be the ones that handle that better because they're going to have that
absolutely.
understanding. I think it's at least
Look,
we're not going to be able to handle.
I
it very
don't
well.
want, as cool as it may sound, I actually don't want like VR to ever get like perfect one-to-one photorealism, and like because that will mess with your mind a lot.
Yeah.
When you come
Well,
out-
there was a Black Mirror episode that kind of touched on that, and it didn't end well.
Yeah, there's a spot in your brain. I forget. I've researched this like 1,000 times, but I forget the name of it. Where like it can tell you what's real and what's not real.
Medulla
It's in the
oblongata.
There's the one in the frontal lobe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one I'm talking about. I don't know why I put it in my back, but I meant front. Direction's hard. Where was
I know
going?
how brains work.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. It's I
Brains.
just think that
Brains.
that we
Brains.
always were so speculative when like Apple was going to make a cell phone, when Xbox was going to make a console, or Microsoft was going to make a console, when all of that
Brains,
stuff was
brains,
like Valve was going to
brains.
make a gaming network. Like everyone
Yeah,
gets speculative about these big companies
well,
taking
I'm not gonna.
it.
Valve's another story. They're like when they start making their trilogies happen.
When they actually complete a trilogy, yeah. But either way, I'm just saying, I think Amazon is the biggest contender,
We'll
and
see.
I think that
Maybe.
they have plans for it.
I think that they definitely have plans for it. Whether or not those plans come to fruition, and whether or not those plans, actually
We'll see.
go anywhere.
We'll see. Well,
Doesn't
let's
matter.
move on because I don't want to stay on that forever. We talked about it for hours, and the future of video games.
And also, Google console could still happen.
It can, I guess, but we'll see. So, sidestepping from video games, I want to take this segment. I don't have a name for it, but we're just going to do it. I'm just going to call it Drunken Stories. So,
Drunken Stories,
Stories. So, the one I started to tell before we got problems with computer stuff was the one with Jerry.
Oh yeah, your American Hero.
Hero story. And apparently, and I'm just gonna recap real fast, so I have to go through a whole again. I was drinking a lot that night, 7 shots in like 30 minutes with Jerry, and he was like a champ. And blackout, and then the next thing I know, I'm next to a toilet. Okay, let me finish. Apparently,
You were
Scott
in
thinks
my bedroom.
I was in his bedroom's bathroom.
You stopped breathing.
He said, "I don't think I stopped
I
breathing."
had to resuscitate your breathing, sir.
I don't believe it.
I've done that for Jay before, right before he threw up. Like it's pretty common that when you get like alcohol poisoning and your body starts to try to expel the alcohol, it like takes a second to process, and because your brain is so
It's like lag.
depressed, yeah, it's like lag, and so it stops before it starts up again.
Anyways, I was going on with saying some stuff that apparently I thought Scott's girlfriend was hot, and
Oh my gosh.
Well, she is.
well, yeah, I know, but I'm saying like I don't think I would ever say that because
Yeah.
it's his moment.
His girlfriend.
Yeah, and I was saying I was a real American hero.
He
and
kept screaming in between vomit volleys that he was a real American hero.
because I had like an onset.
He licked
rival.
the inside of my toilet underneath the toilet seat, and I was like, "Chris, don't do that. Chris, do not do that." And you were like, "Ah."
And the best thing is, I don't know if you know this, I don't get hangovers ever.
God, that made me mad.
So literally I woke up like 5 hours from now. I was like, I had to go to work. I was like, "Hey Scott, how you doing? What happened last night?" "All right, I'm gonna go. See you later."
That's amazing.
He gets no hangovers.
I love that.
Yeah. I was only
I have to censor that now. Thanks.
Good work.
I've only been drunk once.
What?
Yeah. I don't really
Like, what do you classify as drunk?
like
Beyond the point of tipsy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you're definitely having problems, like making intelligent choices.
Gotcha.
Growing up, my two best friends did not drink at all. They both had alcoholic parents, so they didn't touch alcohol at all. So when I hit 21, none of my friends drank. So
I didn't drink on my 21st birthday. I didn't drink until I was like almost 22.
My first drink, I'm not even lying, was on my 21st.
Yeah. So
was
Yeah,
a
I
good
remember
kid.
that.
I was a good kid.
So I've never like done the whole super drinking thing. I wanted to right before the wedding that I had, my wedding, but I fractured my foot
Oh,
Like-
no.
2-3 days before the wedding,
Oh.
and
sucks.
yeah, there's nothing quite like I'm gonna wear these shoes to my wedding. Never mind.
You didn't have to go
Never
in a
mind.
wheelchair, did you?
No, but
Thank goodness.
I was on medication that made it impossible for me to drink.
Oh.
I mean, you could have. It just would have been very bad.
But no, so the one time that I got very drunk, I at one point was using the restroom outside, and I blacked out briefly and fell forward. That's the only time, and that's the only time I've also ever gotten a hangover.
Oh man, you're missing out. Hangovers suck. You can also get the phantom hangover where like you have one drink and you wake up hungover. I hate that.
I wouldn't
That's
know.
because you're dehydrated.
Yeah, that's the dehydration.
Give me a drinking story, Scott.
Oh god. Well,
Choose one randomly.
The resident drunk.
The resident drunk.
so I have one that a friend of mine was having a really bad time, and I actually just told my girlfriend this story the other day. A friend of mine was having a really bad time, and so I went over to his house. And I'd had a neck injury beforehand. Remember when I had my neck injury and I was like
Yeah.
in bed for like almost a week? Yeah, and so we missed 4th of July. We had what we called our Murica day plan, and we couldn't do it.
Festivus America.
So
This for the rest of us.
we lived in a small town, and we ran from edge of town to town, and what we didn't realize were that the police officers were trying to figure out who in the hell were setting off these explosives. And because it was like a week after 4th of July. And so we were walking around and we didn't have any idea. And we were like sitting there and we decided eventually that we were pretending we were in the game Homefront. And we were like, we're gonna free America kind of thing. And we ran around, we were setting off these explosives like fireworks and everything and running from it and like
What year was this?
this
2012,
was like
2013?
a year 2 years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So I just remember your podcast had already existed by then. And I just remember like it got to a point that we were running and I turned around and for some reason while I'm running I thought it was effective to turn like this and I almost fell over because I didn't want to be the cool guy who doesn't look at explosions. So it went boom, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, and I fell over and rolled, and it was we literally had a whole night on the town, and we always look back on it going like, we should have gone to jail, but we didn't, and that'll be the story I tell my kids
That's a
on
good
the
drunken story.
on their 21st birthday is that I
Much better
decided
than
to
ours.
I know, right?
liberate Murica.
Although I
in
do
this
have a
small
drunken story I
town.
want to share. It was I wasn't there for it, but I witnessed the aftermath. It was with you and Ben Lord, where when you lived in the apartment the first time around. And Ben has this video somewhere. I want to see it. I haven't seen.
Don't be mad, dear. You don't know this story yet. Anyways,
Should I not tell it?
no, go ahead.
Okay.
I just
Damage
want
is
to.
done.
I just want to say this now. But this season for filming the Doctor Who, I do want to get drunk at least. Like
Oh, we'll have a party.
point.
We'll have a party.
We'll have a celebration. So you want me to kind of help you tell the story?
Yeah, because you need to help me film.
Ben Lord and I
So,
decided
before that, we were filming Holmes University 2.
Holmes University 2, The Longest Winter.
This is back when Ben was part of the show, and we were set to film the following day. And Ben had stayed over with Scott's, and apparently some shenanigans happened. So
Well, we decided we originally had only good in mind.
That's how it
And we
starts.
were like, we're going to play some games. We wanted to watch the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special. And we were like, we're going to do this. So we did. But we were drinking. I only had like $4 on me. So we bought Ice House beer. And we drank Ice House beer, which is terrible. Anyways, we then decided, Ben Lord was like, wait, I have this bottle of Jack Daniels. in my bag
You could
for
just
whatever
picture
reason.
him saying that in your head, can't you?
And he decided we weren't going to just make any kind of drink.
Oh, God.
We were going to take Nesquik, Jack Daniels, and chocolate pudding and mix it all together and drink it. But we had to drink it while we played Dance Central. So
Do you know the game Dance Central is the game with
Yeah.
the Connect? And
we
you had to
played
dance?
Dance Central, and then we decided we were going to walk to Wendy's. So in the middle of the night, this was like 3 a.m, but apparently Ben Lord got a video of us dancing, and he swears it's going to be played on my wedding. So remind me that Ben's not invited to my wedding. But anyways, we walk there and we talk about what it would be like if the Predator decided to take over the world. Then we walked back because we realized by the time we got there, Wendy's was closed. So we walked back, continued to have our Jack Daniels and pudding cocktail, and then we passed out around 5 o'clock in the morning.
And this is where I show up, ready to film. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm like knocking on the door. Hey, you in there, Scott?
I don't think I'd ever felt that sick in my life.
Well, pudding in general, like gelatinous anything and alcohol don't mix very
It was
well.
just funny because I remember walking in that.
Ben Lord felt more sick than
He
I did
did.
because he actually was like throwing up.
Yeah.
I wasn't
It was
like
just so
that
funny to
bad.
walk into that room and see like beer cans and like a bottle of Jack Daniels just like empty and like pudding wrappers all over the
And
place.
we're talking like a Costco Jack Daniels bottle.
I was like, what the hell happened here?
Apparently, they had like a kids' camp in the middle of their alcohol
Well,
frenzy. It's
it got
fine,
so
guys.
bad, and Ben Lord and I drunkenly wrote each other a contract.
Yeah.
That we would work with each other no matter what, forever, for the rest of time.
Oh, God.
And he hand wrote it, and
Oh,
I
God.
signed it.
And I think he still has that
He
contract.
still has the contract. And we both, on top of that, decided to cry while watching the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special because Doctor Who's emotional, but we cried and we hugged
Manly
each other.
tears. Cried manly tears.
But apparently we sat there and cried and hugged each other for a while after we signed this contract and then talked about how we're best friends for life.
Oh man, it sounds like every girl movie ever.
It was
does.
literally a girl's
does.
slumber party. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like think about it this. You guys had chocolate.
Yep.
You guys talked about boys.
Yep.
You guys talked about dangerous boys. That would be the Predator part. You guys cried while watching an emotional movie.
Yep.
And then you guys promised to be each other's BFFs forever.
Yep. We're literally sisterhood of the
And I'm
traveling
so sad I
Jack
missed
Daniels.
that because I decided to be responsible and go to bed.
I invited you over,
Yeah,
you
I was
bastard.
tired. I was tired.
Oh, and now he has to censor it. You were tired.
You can say bastard.
Okay. Bastard. But now we have to but it was I actually felt okay because you remember I was
Yeah.
filming and I wasn't really hungover.
It was just that nobody was answering the door for like a good 30 minutes.
Oh,
Ben
man.
Ben though was because Ben
he was
had the
gone.
vast majority.
He was
I wasn't as like bad as he was.
And I forget what scenes we even filmed, but
Oh, we filmed like half the movie
Yeah.
that day because we had to shoot Holmes University 2 in less than 72 hours.
yeah.
It was stressful.
You think it's hard now?
I don't think it's hard now.
It's not.
I'm definitely sitting there now in our process going, okay, we could optimize this. Like that's absolutely who I am though. I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm gonna optimize this. Here, let me sit down and write out a thing, and we're gonna optimize this.
I feel bad for Sam because throughout all of the Doctor Who season 1, she was like, I could make this more efficient. And I'm like, no, we got this. I can make this more efficient, Scott.
Scott, let me take over.
And by the last day of filming, it was like, I could have made this efficient.
Slowly, my hair is getting like wilder and crazier.
But I just remember, yeah, that was one of those I'm never going to drink again nights.
I just want to like forewarn everyone: be responsible while drinking.
Yes.
Be responsible,
Please
kids.
be responsible. Don't drink and drive. If you're going to go somewhere, have someone drive for
I'm going to
you.
have the most real message possible. You're going to have these moments. You will have these moments if you're under 21. And Chris told me this when I was 21. You're going to have these moments whether you admit it or not. And they're going to happen when you don't expect it. And it's going to suck later, but you got to get through it. And you got to just accept that this is going to happen.
I said that, huh? Dang, I'm cool.
Yeah, you were also like, you were American Hero
Oh,
at the
yeah,
time.
you know.
But I took it to heart, dang it.
Anyways, thank you for joining us on today's Winging It episode of GS Talks, where we were just talking about nonsense almost with Scott and Sam. Scott's thoughts?
Scott's Thoughts.
Look it.
All right, Scott's Thoughts on Stardust app on YouTube, and that's about it. And
Isn't your Twitter handle Scott's Thoughts?
oh yeah, now it's Scott's Zzz Thoughts because they wouldn't let me have Scott's Thoughts, so it's Scott's Thoughts with a Z in the middle.
Dun dun dun.
And that channel, if you want to be offended by me, go ahead because that is my troll channel.
Fair enough. Sam, Kick Him Cosplay on Instagram. Please go give that a follow. You're not on Twitter, are you?
I am, but it's just shenanery. It's nothing that I necessarily want anyone to participate
That's fair.
with.
That's fair enough. My Instagram and Twitter handle is also same thing, RockinChris64, because I thought that was cool when I made it.
90s, 2000s.
90s 2000. Welcome to GS Talks.
Welcome to AIM.
I forgot about AIM. Where was I going with this? I forget.
Goodbye. We love you. Goodbye.
No, before we get to that, the goodbyes. Be sure you like and subscribe to GSTV Studios and all the prospective people that we just named. We'll see you next time, whenever that is. And I want to be the very best that no one ever was.
Leave us your hilarious drunken stories in the comments. We want to read
Yes, please leave drunken stories in the
it.
comments.
Or what was the most embarrassing drunken story you have?
For every drunken story we get, we will all share an embarrassing story on the next one.
Fair enough. I think we have our next podcast, Embarrassing Stories. All right, so again, goodbye, everybody. And I feel like we should leave with a song. What song should we leave with?
Trogdor!
Trogdor! Trogdor!